today, Joe Brady, the new head coach, is confirming, like, yeah, I stood on the table for Keon Coleman, and I'm going to be the best thing that ever happened to him. Like, being his head coach is going to be the best thing that ever happened to Keon Coleman. How recoverable do you think he is? Like, does he need to move to the slot in order to be a functional piece for them? Because Shakir is living there.
Yeah, see, that was the problem, too, that even when they took Coleman, like, your best receiver is Khalil Shakir. Your most useful receiver is Khalil Shakir, and he kind of has to play in the slot for his role to come to life and for him to be the best version that he is. A guy that has been a huge hit for them as a fifth-round pick and an extension player. So I think – but there are ways that they can use Coleman almost akin to a slot receiver, but he's not lining up in the slot. And same thing with Khalil Shakir, too. I'd love to see those guys – line up next to each other, real like tight condensed bunches and stuff like that where, Coleman can be your on-ball slot and Shakir can be your off-ball out wide receiver. Like, I think there's ways for those two guys to be activated and used in combinations in that way. You've seen that a little bit with, like, Seattle's done that at time with Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was a guy that was a slot-only player at Ohio State and in his first few years in the NFL. Now, he obviously is a much better man coverage receiver than either Shakir or Keon Coleman, which is why he's been able to thrive as a true X in Seattle's offense. But there have been times where they did that with Kupp and JSN. There's been times where the Rams have done that with Kupp and Puka Nacua, like kind of to essentially almost make them into slot players. I think the Bills can do that, but it does require getting somebody in the room who can be a true X and line up in isolation on the outside. And I think there will be players available both in free agency and in this draft cycle that there are options there. That's one way forward. The other way forward is to say, hey, what if we get something from Keon Coleman, it's gravy, but we're not going to plan for him to be the starter. But I do love Brady's comments, and I think that was a much better way to handle the Keon Coleman thing than what happened at the previous press conference, and I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.